Hello, sellers. Come on in. Come on in. We're going to talk about something huge. It is the eBay policy feedback change. eBay policy feedback change. eBay policy feedback change. It is big news. And I want to walk you through it because with the changes, it can help you when and if you ever get a negative feedback, okay, which of course is never going to happen to you, but it does happen at times. And it's good to know, okay, because it has changed. Also, feedback is something that gets talked about a lot, and oftentimes some very wrong and off things about eBay feedback. So I'm here to help you. And if you don't know, I'm Kathy Terrill. I love to be selling. And thank you for those of you that watch me on my Facebook business page. I love to be selling. My YouTube channel, Kathy Terrill, I love to be selling. And do hit subscribe and download it from my podcast, Kathy Terrill, I love to be selling. So let's talk about feedback. If you don't know, eBay, feedback's part of eBay's history. So way back when it first started, 29 years ago, eBay was one of the first sites to put in community boards and feedback. So it's part of eBay's history. Sellers used to be able to leave feedback for their customers, which we can, but we can only leave positive feedback. That was changed over the years, and I know some people aren't too happy about that. But what I want to talk about with us getting feedback as sellers, so it used to be part of top-rated seller status and our seller standing. That changed over the years. So this is why I caution you when you're watching YouTubes and podcasts and whatever, is to check the date on it, because sometimes you'll see people getting upset about things and it's outdated information. It no longer applies. So ways back, eBay did change where your feedback, okay, so what people say about you, the feedback, does not impact you as far as your listings ranking in search, okay? However, I don't know about you, I shop online a lot. So I shop on eBay almost daily and also on other sites. And when I am going to shop, but think about this. And if you don't shop on eBay, I encourage you to shop on eBay because it's good to go through the experience. So when you're looking, let's say you're looking for, a woman's red top, is you look at it, there might be a certain brand you're looking for, whether it's a V-neck or a scoop neck, whether it's short sleeve or long sleeve or 3/4 sleeve, but you're looking for a specific top. Typically you're going to look at the condition, whether it's important to you, whether the item is new or whether you're okay with used, shopping sustainably. If you're in a rush, you might check the buyer's location. Like I'm in New York, so I'm going to be maybe more inclined to shop with somebody in New Jersey. But very typically, very quickly, so you're looking for your item. Maybe you get it sorted down to 2 or 3 that you're looking at. You're going to go look at the feedback. Right now I'm busy shopping for toys for my grandkids. And one thing I do besides looking at product reviews, because I want to hear people that are using the item, do they have any, qualms about it? Like, is it too noisy? Is it hard to put together if there's assembly? So I look at the product review on the item, but I also really look at the seller review. If I've got 2 sellers that I'm looking at, and again, this is talking toys, and one of them is 98 or 99% positive feedback. I mean, if they've got 1 or 2 negatives, I understand as a seller because you can't always please everybody all the time. But if they have like 89, 90, 92, 90, if it's in the low 90s and they have a competitor that's 98, 99, even if that competitor is $1 or $2 more, I am much more likely, not much more, I am going to shop with the person that's 98, 99 over 91, 92. For me, if it's 97, 98, 99, I'm okay with that, 100% yay. But I definitely look at the seller review, the reviews of the seller, and I look at the comments about the seller as part of my purchase. So yes, the price is important, the brand, all of that, but the review is important. It may not impact the item ranking in search, but for me as a buyer, it impacts my buying decision. And I also really look at what they say about the seller. So for instance, let's say you do get a return on an item, okay, which happens. Like I said, I just processed a return. When they make a comment, because they can still leave feedback when they return something, do they say, I had to return the item, but the buyer was really pleasant about it or very kind about it or whatever, but that they leave feedback about the fact that you were good about the return, okay? You made it easy for them, okay? It matters. So in the past, eBay at times on the eBay for Business podcast would say things like, oh, and if you get a negative, it's okay. Don't get upset about it. I'm going, there are things that are out of your control, but people read the feedback. It's part of their buying decision. So what people say and the amount of negatives that you might pick up, and obviously these big giant sellers that are on eBay with a gazillion items listed. I was looking at somebody, I think it was office supplies I was ordering, and they had like 30,000 listings. Somebody like that is going to get some negatives. But anyway, so negative feedback matters. And when it's unwarranted negative feedback, like we don't deserve the negative feedback, it really stings because it can impact us, again, not in the ranking and search, but in that decision that the buyer makes, because you're going to have a lower number of positive feedback. So eBay's aware of this. The other thing that was difficult with getting negatives removed was if it was what's called feedback extortion. And feedback extortion, if you're not aware of it, thankfully I've had this happen a couple of times, and I'm always very glad when they do it, try to extort my feedback, because I know I'm going to get the negative removed if I get a negative. So what'll happen is you'll get a message, somebody wants a refund, they want something, and they say in the message, it has to be really clear, is if you want me to leave you positive feedback, then you need to do X, Y, and Z. That is feedback extortion. Okay, so if that happens to you, just smile, be polite, don't tell them what they're doing. He's going to help you get, a negative feedback removed. But just know that that's feedback extortion. And that's always been very, very clear to get negatives removed. But I just want to show you this. So this just rolled out in the past week that I'm aware of. If you guys saw it before, let me know. But I've only seen it in the past week. So if you search on eBay for feedback policy, eBay has really, 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 the team has done a terrific job of putting their thinking caps on. I know they spoke with a lot of sellers. I was a seller that chatted with them. And I know they spoke with several sellers. And they've really worked at making it much, much clearer. And I want to show this to you. And the reason I want to show this to you is if you get a negative, if you're appealing a negative feedback, if you're trying to get a negative feedback removed, you want to cite the policy. You want to give them a reason to the team to remove the negative. You can't just say, I got this negative, remove it. Yes, they can go through everything. Yes, they're going to be aware of all the reasons, but it's going to really help the team, help you get your negative removed if you cite the policy that backs you up in wanting to get the negative removed. So let's just go down this quickly. Just search eBay feedback policy. You'll find this. It explains the policy. It explains how they remove it. And this is how you request removal. You click the link that's on your eBay. You've got to be logged into eBay. When do they remove feedback? This is what we're concerned about, okay? Harmful, inappropriate, or irrelevant comments and images. This is one I haven't run into. So I have never had weird images put in feedback, but people can, okay? So just read through this, okay? This is one that could really help you if you get a strange feedback where it's meaningless content, or they put up images in the negative feedback that are not of the item purchased. And this can happen because what happens is sometimes the buyer will get confused and they think they bought X or Y from you and they didn't, because that's not what you sold. This can help you if they upload an image that is not of the item purchased, okay? And this is one that actually did help me once. Comments intended for a different item or seller. And don't laugh, what they bought from me, if I remember correctly, it was a men's grooming product. I think it was either like soap or deodorant, something like that. And the feedback they left was for a carburetor. I'm totally serious about this. That was a snap to, and they said something about, it was flimsy or they didn't like it. And they said carburetor. It was clearly they're giving feedback for a carburetor. And if you looked at what they bought from me, it was no way was it a carburetor. So that was one I could get. And I said to them, they're leaving feedback for a carburetor and I didn't sell them one. So that wasn't a problem. So just really look at this. Okay. Extortion. Okay. So we talked about that. Buyer related trends. And these are great because they really, really detail it. So again, if you're asking get the negative removed, say, look at buyer related transaction, look at the third one down. Okay. And help the team. Like, this is why I want it removed. Okay. A lot about cancellation. So if you're getting a negative after something's been canceled, take a look at that. Item delivery. This is another good one. Okay. Item shows delivered. Okay. And they leave you a negative for whatever reason. As long as it says when they remove neutral negative feedback, when the buyer is talking about a delivery issue where tracking shows it was delivered, delivery issue where there was a natural disaster. Okay, so there was some kind of delivery issue, and perhaps it happened during, we're in hurricane season, during a hurricane. Okay, you're covered. But again, read the reasons you can get it removed, show them the item number, and be very specific with the team why you want it removed. Don't get a hold of the team and say, remove my negative feedback. I want this negative feedback removed. This is why. Under delivery issues, this person is, they're upset with the delivery. And the reason they're upset with the delivery is this was during hurricane whatever. And you guys covered me because shipping was stalled X amount of time. Okay, so just keep an eye on these things. Return issues. This is a fun one. So we remove neutral negative feedback when any of the following occurs, and that's what the buyer's referencing. Item is returned, used, or damaged, and the seller returns part of it. I had this happen. Person bought a brand new tag, address brand new with tags. They claimed it didn't fit. Can they return it? Sure. I got it back. The tags were off. The dress had clearly been worn. I mean, it really looked like they had literally dragged it around the house. I mean, it was severely damaged. Okay. So in a situation like that, eBay backs me if I get a negative feedback. Yes, Melissa's saying it's so great. It really is. And what's good is they really spell it out. So it's very, very clear. So again, when you're asking for a negative to be removed, do your homework, go through this list. And if it covers more than one, tell them it's under this and under this. Give them more reason to get the negative taken off. Okay, so look. Site or program issues. Okay, it could be about retracting bids. We've got shipped on time with the eBay International Shipping Program, which, by the way, is fabulous. And if there's some kind of delivery issue, I actually had one happen. Shipping to Kuwait, it showed it arrived at the hub, it left the hub, and then it went into what I call the Bermuda Triangle, which is, for whatever reason, it just vanished. There was no tracking after hub. Okay, so buyer got their money back. I got to keep my money. Now, and my buyer was very nice. If for some reason my buyer was very upset, they wanted the item. Where's my item? I ordered my item and left me a negative saying, I bought this. I never got it, even though they got their money back. It would be removed because it was an EIS, eBay International Shipping issue. Okay, so another reason to ship with EIS. So keep going. See, and it says, another thing, if you think the feedback goes against our policy, contact us through Seller Hub, and they have the link within 30 days of the transaction. So you do want to check your feedback. I check mine about once a week. You do want to check your feedback regularly, because if you see the negative and you're requesting to get it removed, you don't want to wait 4 or 5 months. I know that seems like a long time. Maybe sometimes like you're just not logging in, you're not checking, whatever, but it needs to be done under 90 days. Okay, so we're going to keep going. Thank you, eBay. eBay says it's reviewing our policy. Good. Okay. Long list. I'm scrolling through all this stuff of how and why to get feedback removed. And that when you request it, it is best to not just say, I want this removed, but to cite why, and just say, again, back to this, we're going to scroll down, that it's just say under harmful, inappropriate, or irrelevant comments and images. I'm going to pick one, the meaningless content or images of, like, for instance, it was my carburetor guy. If he had put up a picture of the carburetor, I'm just going to say, I didn't sell him a carburetor, right? So go through the list, pick the correct one. If somehow yours hits 2, I would cite both. When you do this, I'm not saying it's automatic, okay? When you do this, you are much more likely to get the negative removed. And why, as a seller, do I care about getting a negative removed? Because some people are like, oh, it's only one negative. You know, it's hard when you're 100%. You get that one, and all of a sudden you're not 100%. It really stings. I totally hear you guys. I've been there. Is it really will help you to get the negative removed if you can line it up with something, okay? Because, and why as a seller do I care about this, besides, especially when it's 100 and you get that one, it's like, oh, this is so annoying, is because buyers do read our feedback, okay? Now, one bonus tip for you, and then I've got something else to offer you guys, is if you do get a negative feedback and for whatever reason you can't get it removed because it doesn't fall within those policies, and you did reach out to the buyer and you did offer to help them, you tried to work with them to make it okay, and they just won't budge, so you're stuck with the negative, is I really encourage you, and this is my personal opinion, this is me, Kathy Terrill. If you don't know, you can respond to negative feedback, and I encourage you to do that. But I encourage you to do it like after you've given yourself a day or two to sort of breathe, so that you're not reacting, you know, with all your feelings and you're just frustrated, you know, because you're a good seller. And this is just like really, it hurts because we're good sellers. And sometimes our buyers are unreasonable. Is hit reply. You can hit reply and be professional, wonderful seller you are. And you could say something like, this buyer never contacted me, or I contacted this buyer, you know, I tried to make it right. And they were unwilling, you know, to accept what I offer, or this buyer never contacted me. I reached out to them to make it right, and they never responded. Stay very professional, stay very kind, because that way, when Melissa or I are coming onto your account and we're ready to shop with you, we scroll down, we see that one negative, because you know this, you can click on it and then you can actually see it as a buyer. I will see your wonderful response, and that you're clearly a lovely seller because you only have one or maybe two, and that you answered in a very lovely way. And clearly this buyer that left you a negative is just a bit of a pain. And as a buyer, I understand that, because at times people are a pain, right? So I encourage you, if it is a negative and you just can't resolve it, and yes, it's incredibly annoying and it hurts our hearts, is give yourself a day or two after you've gone through the whole appeal process to breathe and to respond, so that people can see the lovely seller that you are, okay? But if there's any way to get it removed, do it. But cite the policy. Don't just say eBay, remove this. And eBay's been good. They've really made an effort to super detail everything, okay? Now, talking about learning and growing, is eBay Open is coming up in just a few weeks. Yay, eBay. It's coming up on September 25th and 26th. In the past, I've led what they call sneak peeks, which basically gets you ready for eBay Open. And what I'm doing this year is I am doing an eBay Open Seller Success Planner. It's free. It's my gift to you. So you're going to hop over to my website, ilovetobeselling.com, and grab it. And the reason to grab it is eBay Open is 2 days, and it's packed. I mean, there's a ton of information eBay packs into it. Yes, everything, not everything, a lot of the material is taped, and I do talk about that in the Success Planner, because not everything is taped. And so there's things that you're going to want to do to prepare for that. But there's things you can do to get ready that don't take a ton of time, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And it will really help you to get the most out of eBay Open. So you can pick the sessions that are going to be best for what you need right now. They have sessions that are good for new sellers. They have sessions that are better for more experienced sellers. Big range of topics. Some are going to interest you. Some, it's like, I could care less. but there's a lot of good information. So grab it. It's going to really help you, because with these 2 days, and we love all our eBay friends, but you want to be making choices for you, for your business, for your selling right now. And that's what the Success Planner will get you all set up for. So grab it. It's free. The eBay Open Success Planner on my website. I love to be selling. Okay. So grab it, get ready for eBay Open. It's going to be a blast. If and when you do get a negative, hop over to the feedback policy page and take a look at the policy that perhaps the negative infringes on, so you can get it removed. But it's worth it now to just to glance and go through the page so that you're aware of what all the criteria is. So if and when you run into something, because it has changed. Okay. Beware of the YouTubes and the podcast from even a couple of years ago. It has changed, and you want to be on top of what you can do to help yourself as we go into the fourth quarter holiday season, because our buyers do read our feedback to get an indication of who and what we are as sellers, because it helps them to make choices, right? And of course, they're going to make the choice to shop with you and me. Okay. You're welcome, Melissa. Thank you so much for joining me live, Kathy. And I love to be selling. Bye-bye, everybody.